Hi, I'm Andre Marin, and welcome to the Installation and Maintenance video guide for the Pediatric Emergency Medicine application. So before we get started, I'm assuming you already have several things available, like an IDE. In this case, Visual Studio Code is highly recommended. Git, Node.js, version 12.16.2. And once you have Node.js, you'll need to run this command, npm install expo CLI tac global, so that you could run expo commands, which is how we will start our project. And optionally, if you don't have an Android emulator available, you could download Genymotion. So in this case, to get the free version, you'd go to Help, Desktop, Fun Zone. That's where you could find the free personal use edition of Genymotion. Once you have all those set up, we could start going on ahead and cloning the project. So in this case, I'll go to Visual Studio, I'll open up the terminal, and I'll navigate to where I want to clone the project. So in this case, it'd be Documents, FIU. And here I'll type git clone, and I already have the link written down here. So I'll just copy this, exit this out, and paste it. And once that's done, we're going to have to configure Firebase so that this project could work with it. So in this case, let's go back to Chrome. I'm going to exit all these out. And here, I'll go to firebase.google.com. I'll hit go to console in the upper right corner. And here, I'll click Add Project. So it says enter a project name. I'll put Pediatric Emergency App. Do we need Google Analytics? In this case, I haven't really used any of this, so I'll just disable it. Alright. We could leave it enabled if you like. And I'll hit Create Project. And once this is done, we could continue the configuration. Alrighty, so that finished up. So now I'll hit continue, and it'll take us here. Here says get started by adding Firebase to your app, iOS, Android, and web. So in this case, I'll click web. App nickname, we could put like the same thing, Pediatric Emergency Application. We could set up Firebase hosting if we like. I don't think we'll be needing it, so I'll just leave it like that, and I'll hit register app. And here, we'll see this main block of code. So let's go back to Visual Studio to see what we'll use this for. Here, let's click File, Open Folder, and let's open the directory that was created with our git clone command. Now that this is open, you should see all these, folders and files on the left-hand side. So here, we're going to click Backend. I'm going to open up Firebase.js. And down here, we see API key, auth domain, database URL, project ID, and storage bucket. These five are these five here. API key, auth domain, database URL, project ID, and storage bucket. So we're going to copy all these, go back to Visual Studio, highlight these, and just hit paste. We're going to format that. And now that that's done, we're going to save our changes, go back to Firebase, and click Continue to Console. So now we could actually run our project. So in this case, I'm going to open up Genymotion because I don't have another emulator available, but any Android emulator is fine. So here, to install a device, you could just hit the plus, click any device you like, hit next, change some settings if you like. I tend to leave them as is, and you could just hit install. And after a few minutes, it'll be installed. However, since I already have devices, I'm just going to open up the Galaxy S8, and while that's booting up, I'll run npm install to make sure that we have all the known modules we need for the project to work. Alrighty, so npm install just finished. It looks like the device booted up. So to start the app, we could type in expo start -- Android and hit enter. And that will open up this window, which is basically like it's almost like a GUI for the emulator, right? So you could click here to run on emulator, run on iOS simulators if you have that, web browsers. In this case, to run the app on an iPhone, you'll have to download the Expo app on your phone, right? And then from there, scan the barcode. And then it should take you to the Expo app and open it up there. So in this case, it says opening on Android device, building JavaScript bundle, finished. So here is the application. However, this application as it is right now does not work because we haven't configured anything related to Firebase except for the basics of the API key and all that. We haven't configured authentication, for example. So here, if I try to create an account, gmail.com, password 123456, if I hit confirm, I'll get this error. Oh no, the given sign provider is disabled for this Firebase project. Enable it in the Firebase console under the auth section. And if I click otherwise, I'll get other errors, right, that are related to Firebase. So let's go back to Firebase here, and let's start with the authentication. So here we'll click authentication on the left hand side, click set up a sign-in method, and here you'll see all these providers if you want to sign in with your Microsoft account, your Facebook, or Google. In this case, we're just going to click email password, and you'll see these two toggle buttons. We're going to click the first one, and this bottom one, which is for passwordless sign-in, we're just going to leave that disabled, and we're going to click save. So now, if we wait a few moments, we should be able to create an account in our application. In the meantime, we're going to configure the other parts of Firebase, which in this case includes Firestore. So here, we're going to go to database, and here you can see Cloud Firestore, create database. The Firebase has two database services, Firestore and real-time database. In this case, we're using both, so we're going to configure Firestore first and then real-time database second. So here, click create database, click start in test mode, and then click next. Here you could just leave that as it is and click next or done. And once this finishes up, we'll sort out the details. Alrighty, so Firestore just finished and we got brought here. So here we're now going to start a collection. The collection ID for this app to work must be named data. So call it data and hit next. And here you could add its first document, right? So since this is going to be kind of a dummy document, we're going to add it just because it's asking us to. But it doesn't have to be, it's not important, so you could just delete it afterwards. So we're just going to put test, you could leave that empty. If you leave this empty, it'll auto-generate an ID, which is fine. So we'll just hit save. Alrighty, so now we see these three columns, right? Here's our data collection, here's the first item in that collection, and here are all its fields. In this case, like I said, it's not important, this document, so we're just going to delete it. So we're going to click up here, these three dots, click delete document, and click start delete. And now that's gone. So now our data collection is empty. Now if we go back here to the application, if we click, for example, medical, and click altered mental status, you'll see that it says loading. So originally, if we clicked it before we started Firebase, it would have given us an error. saying, or before we started Firestore, it would have given us an error saying Firestore hasn't been configured in the app. Now that we configured Firestore and data, it works, but it's not pulling the data because it's searching the data collection for data that isn't there. So it's just going to say loading forever. So now we're going to add data into the data collection. So back in Visual Studio, here, you should see a directory named screens, right here. So we're going to open it and open loginscreen.js. And now, if we open data, we should see this category here, Firebase Data Entry.js. So we're going to open that, right? So this is just a commented file, basically, that's meant to add data to Firestore. This is just a simple method we came up with to add data to Firestore. So here and back in login screen, we're going to need to do a few things before we can actually get it working. What we're going to do here is type in import subcategories, all in capital, from / backend, or no, data, correct? Yeah. Data / categories data .js, right? Now, if we go back here, we're going to copy this code under snippet 1. We're going to copy that, go back to login, scroll down to line 82, and paste it here, right? And we're going to caption this part out. Basically, all we're doing is setting the login button. We're just having it temporarily, instead of log people in, just add data on press. That way we won't have to add it all manually, because it is a lot of data. So now we're going to save our changes. We're going to go back here. We're going to get out of here, click chat room and CME, and let me show you. Here, back in Firestore, our data is empty, correct? If I move this here and click login, it should add all the data. And as you can see, it is. It's adding all the data for the application right to here. So now, if we go out of here, medical, altered mental status, perfect. It's pulling the data from the application. So now let's go back and undo that, because we actually want our users to be able to log in. Let's do that. Let's take out that caption. And we won't be needing this, so let's delete that. So now, here's the thing. We won't be able to use the chat room right now, because that's the part that uses Firebase real-time database. So in this case, that's the last thing we'll have to set up before we are all ready to go. So let's go back to Firestore. Here, click real-time database, and go to rules. And here you see that these say .read false, .write false. That means that anything we want to read or write from here isn't allowed, and that's not what we want. In this case, we want them both to be true. So we'll put quote true, and the same thing here, quote true, and we'll hit publish and wait a minute to make sure the changes get actually enacted, and then we'll restart the app. And that's it. Alrighty, so I waited a few moments there to make sure everything took effect. Now, back in the application, I'm going to exit it out and restart to make sure that all our changes are actually saved. So here, I'll go here, click that, exit that out. kill this. And I'll just restart the app. So here, I'll go back into the terminal. Let's go start, Android. And we could exit this one out. This is the old one. We can exit that out. And now everything should be working. Everything should be up and running. So we'll wait until this opens up. Alrighty, so here we are in the application again. And now we're going to make sure everything works. So first, let's just click medical, that, and it's pulling the data, so that's set. Here, let's go to chat room CME, new account, and create an account. And confirm. Alright, perfect, success. Let's log in at gmail.com. Log in. Alright, perfect. Let's go to the chat room. Let's send a message. Test text. Let's lower that and hit send. Perfect. Let's go here and add a certification. Cert 1. Let's just say May 1st, 2020. Add cert. Alright, perfect. So everything seems to be working according to plan, and let's sign out. And yes. So that is how you configure the application, download everything, and configure Firebase so that you can get started working on the Pediatric Emergency app. I hope this guide was helpful to you.